Okay. Okay. So now we can start. So we have to first understand the communication process. Okay. You could note down the communication process. Okay. So if you have a source and a destination, okay. Let's say in the layman's language, you have a sender and a receiver. If you are sending some information, okay, then this is also communication. Okay, and the literal meaning of communication is basically the exchange of information. That means you are sending some information from this sender to this receiver. The receiver will receive it. Okay, the receiver may also like to send some information back. Okay, normally it is in the form of acknowledgement. So the communication process requires a sender and a receiver. Okay, if we just elaborate this structure between this sender and the receiver, we will get a block diagram like this. So we will have a source. Okay, source. The source will be generating the message signal. Okay, so once it generates the message signal or the information that is required to be sent, it will transmit it. Okay, so it requires a transmitter. So with the transmitter, it will send the signal. Okay, the signal will obviously travel through some medium, that is your channel. Okay, so it will, this channel can be, or this medium can be your wired, wireless, any kind of medium. Okay, so then the signal is received at the end of the channel. So once the signal has been received, who will receive the signal? Obviously the receiver. Okay, the receiver will receive it. So once the signal is received, it needs to be estimated. Okay, that which message signal was transmitted. So estimate of message signal. So who will ultimately get this? The receiver. Okay, the receiver will get the information. Okay, so this is the basic communication process. Okay, so one by one we will learn what is the job of the source, what is the job of the transmitter, what is the job of the channel. All these things one by one we will be understanding. Okay, so let us start with what is basically the communication process. If you have noted it down, let me just call. So communication, you could note down that communication involves implicitly the transmission of information. Okay, so implicitly the transmission, TX is the short for transmission. Okay, so transmission of information from one point to another. Got it? Simple definition. I think it is clear within itself that communication involves implicitly the transmission of information from one point to another. Okay, so suppose let us take an example. Okay, you are right now, let's say, in Odisha. Okay, and let's say let's say you are from West Bengal. Okay, so you want you have finished your degree and you want to take back the luggage that you had gathered in the course of these 4 years. So obviously you will be like you will pack those baggages in some cartoons or some boxes. Okay, so once you have packed them, you need to transmit that information or that uh, luggage, okay, to West Bengal. So do you think the amount of luggage you have actually collected within these 4 years you will be able to like carry it yourself? Any answers? I think it will be quite difficult to carry all the luggage by yourself and take it to uh, your home state, isn't it? Am I?
Yes, sir.
Uh, so normally, what you one of you could do is you could hire a packer and mover. Okay, so what they would do is they could just, here we will have the packer and mover. Okay, what the packer and mover does is it packs, it collects your luggage, it then packs it into its own bags, then it uses a truck. Okay, let's say there is a truck here. Okay, so it takes a truck and that truck carries your luggage to West Bengal. Again, at your destination, the luggage will be unloaded from the truck and it will be provided in your home. Okay, mind it that the communication process is also like this. Okay, the analogy that I have shown you, the communication process involves similar analogy. So, if you are generating some information, okay, and you have to transmit that information over a long distance, then it is not possible to directly transmit it. Okay, you need, like in the case of your luggage, there was a truck. Okay, and that truck acted as a carrier. It carried your information, your luggage from Odisha to West Bengal. In the same way, we need a truck to carry the information from one place to another, and that truck is basically called your carrier. Okay, CARRIER. So carrier is nothing but it is a high frequency sinusoid. High frequency sinusoid. Okay, so what it does, it carries this information, or this information is otherwise called your message signal. Okay, and sometimes it is also called the baseband signal. Okay, so it carries the high frequency sinusoid, which is the carrier. It carries the information or message signal or the baseband signal, okay, to the destination. So in the communication process also we will be needing a carrier, okay, which will be carrying our information from one place to another. Okay, so as we have already discussed that communication involves implicitly the transmission of information from one point to another. Okay, so for this we need certain blocks, as we have already seen in this particular diagram, block diagram. Okay, so one by one we will study the role of these blocks. Okay, so one by one let us discuss. So number one, the first thing that you need is the generation. Obviously, if you do not generate a message, how what you will transmit? So the first step in the process of communication is the generation of your message signal. Okay, the message signal could be in the terms of voice. Okay, it could be your music, it could be your picture. Okay, or your computer data. Okay, so see, in this case, if it is the voice, obviously it will be analog in nature. Then if it is music, picture, okay, these things will be analog in nature. But however, if it is computer data, it will be digital in nature. I hope you know the differences between an analog and a digital signal, right? An analog signal is something like this, isn't it? While a digital signal is like this. A digital signal will have discrete values, 1 and a 0. Okay, whereas an analog signal will have continuous values. So first thing that you need to do is to generate the message signal. Once you have generated the message signal, then only it could be transmitted to the destination. Okay, so the second one is the description of the message signal by a set of symbols. Okay, so is the description, this is the second step of communication. So it involves the description of the message signal by a set of symbols by a set of symbols that could be your electrical, then oral, AURAL, oral or visual. So the second step involves the description of the message signal by a set of symbols, electrical, oral or visual. That means if you have generated a voice signal, so your voice is nothing but mechanical vibrations. So you have to convert that into electrical signal in order to transmit it to the destination. In our case, basically in our case, in the case of electrical communication. But before the advent of electrical communication, you could see that some other modes of communication also existed. Like suppose one person is there at a far end. Let's say he or she is let's say 5 kilometers away. And you still have let's say you have a line of sight link between that person and you. Let's say one person is here and another person is, let's say, some kilometers away. And let's say there is a line of sight link is there. Line of sight means you could see each other, but if you speak from here, the other person will not be able to listen to your voice. So you decided that I will send messages by using a lamp or a torch. When the torch will be glowing, at that time it will have certain meaning. When the torch is off, that will mean some other meaning. Like you might be able to transmit a 1 by glowing the torch. You might be able to send a 0 by turning off the torch. So you might be having some message. You could like convert that message into binary and you could send it by glowing or turning off your torch. So this is also a kind of representation or description of the message signal. Similarly, you could also see that in Morse code, you must have heard about the Morse code that was used for telegraphs. Telegraphs are not used nowadays. However, Morse code was used. Your alphabets will be represented by dots and dashes. That was another way of representing the message signal. Now, similarly, you must have read about ASCII, ASCII, the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So what you are doing there, A or B is there. For that, some ASCII code is available and you are using those. So you could just convert your message into ASCII codes. Then you could transmit it using this procedure, like glowing your torch and turning it off. So that could be used to represent the ones and zeros. So this could be another way. So in our analog or digital communication, what we do, suppose some voice signal is there, we convert that voice signal into electrical equivalent. So it will be now a electrical signal and it could be transmitted. So that's why we have written the description of the message signal by a set of symbols. So it could be electrical, oral or visual. Then the next thing that we need to do is number 3, encoding these symbols in a form suitable for transmission. So encoding of these symbols in a form suitable for transmission. TX is transmission, short for transmission, over a physical medium. So next thing is encoding these symbols in a form suitable for transmission over a physical medium. Like I had informed you, like I told you that we could if we want to transmit the information over longer distance, let's say from Odisha to, let's say, West Bengal, we will need a carrier. Okay, without that, it will be difficult. So that's why we have written here encoding of these symbols in a form suitable for transmission over a physical medium. So let's say you are using the wired media. Okay, let's say you are using the wired media. Wired media means you will be obviously using a wire for transmission of this signal. Then obviously you have to convert that signal into electrical form, an electrical form that could be transmitted through the wire. Okay, similarly, in the wired media only, if you are using, let's say, optical fiber. Okay, optical fiber, we know that optical fiber, in optical fiber we transmit the information as light waves. Okay, so you have to convert the electrical signal into light. Okay, to light, so that you could transmit it over that medium. So obviously you need to encode these symbols in a form that is suitable for transmission over the physical medium. Similarly, if you are using, let's say, wireless media, okay, wireless media, then also you need to convert it into a different electrical form, okay, which could be transmitted. This electrical form requires to be of high frequency. Without high frequency, you cannot let it propagate to a longer distance. Okay, we will also be studying about the different reasons for which we will be converting the signal into high frequency signal for transmission over wireless media when we will be studying about modulation at that time. So these are some of the reasons. Okay, uh, these are some of the ways we will be encoding these symbols in a form that is suitable for transmission. Okay, so once you have encoded the symbol, the rest, the next thing is to transmit that symbol. Okay, so next is your transmission of encoded symbols. Okay, transmission of encoded symbols to desired destination. Okay, I think this point is self-explanatory. So once you have converted the signal to a form, okay, by which you could transmit it, obviously you have to transmit it to the desired destination. Okay, that is the most important thing, and you should ensure that the correct receiver is receiving the message. Okay, so let's say the message has now reached the receiver. So what they have to do, since some encoding has already been done, they have to decode that message, okay, to the human understandable form. So the decoding, next process is the decoding and reproduction. Okay, the decoding and reproduction of the original symbols. The original symbols. Okay, so you have to decode it and you have to reproduce the original symbols that were actually transmitted. Okay, however, the problem is that when you will be reproducing the symbols, they could never be represented in their original form. There will be some differences from the form they were transmitted. I will tell you that. Let us note the 6th point and we will elaborate on it. So next point is the recreation of the original message, of the original message signal, okay, with a with a definable degradation in quality, okay, and this degradation is caused by imperfections imperfections in the system. Okay. So last is the recreation of the original message signal with a definable degradation in quality. The degradation is caused by imperfection in the channel or in the system. Okay. So we will be able to, the last job is to recreate the signal to in its original form. However, there will be some degradation in the signal. The reason is that is because obviously because of the imperfections in the system. So let's say you are sending a message like this, okay, then when it will reach the destination, obviously it will travel through the channel or the medium. So when it will be reaching the destination, it will never be in this form. The first thing, let's say this is the original amplitude, huh? Let's say it is originally like this. These dotted lines indicate its original form. However, when you will be receiving it, okay, at that time its form will be changed. Let me show you how it will look like. So first is its amplitude will be reduced, the signal will be attenuated, and the form will be something like this. Okay, and you could see that the signal is attenuated. That means its amplitude is reduced, and you could see some rough structures on it. These rough structures on it are actually the result of addition of noise. Okay, so whenever you transmit the information through uh, the communication system, okay, the communication system is a network of basically some devices, some amplifiers will be there, some modulators will be there, then the channel will be there, the transmission media or the channel will be there, then you will be using some decoders or devices that will be able to convert that into the original form. So they are not perfect devices. They will add some amount of noise and distortions to the signal. So we will be receiving this signal, however, with some definable degradations. For example, I am sharing my screen. Okay, there are instances when you are getting the perfect replica of what I have shared. Sometimes you might be observing that there are some degradations in whatever you are seeing on the screen. Okay, there are some noise. Sometimes you will be seeing that the horizontal and vertical lines that are there in the document in which I am which basically I am sharing, they are sometimes visible, sometimes they are some of the parts of those lines are vanishing. So these are some of the because of some of the imperfections in the system. Sometimes the channel bandwidth might be low. Okay, sometimes the devices that I am using for sharing or you are using for um, visualizing it may not be perfect, may not be presenting it perfectly. Okay, so these are the things that make the communication process. Okay, so any doubts in this? Have you understood it clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now we will be discussing two basic modes of communication. Okay, so see here whatever we will be discussing initially, okay, in this subject principles of digital communication, we will be mostly discussing about the wireless communication. See, communication can be basically of two types. It could be your wired, it could be your wireless. Okay, so initially our course, okay, focuses on this wireless communication. Okay, so in wireless communication we will be studying about the analog modulation and the digital modulation. In analog modulation we will be discussing about the amplitude modulation, okay, and the angle modulation. In the angle modulation, again we will be discussing about the frequency modulation and then frequency modulation, and then we will be also discussing some parts of phase modulation. Okay, so in digital modulation, again, let me just bring it here. So in digital modulation, we will be studying about amplitude shift king, the phase shift king, and the frequency shift king. So these are, you could say, these are the digital variants of the amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. So these are the things that we will be discussing. And in PSK, phase shift king, which is a kind of phase modulation, we will be discussing about BPSK, a derivative of this PSK, and QPSK, and I will be also telling you what is your MARY PSK. These are some of the different techniques that we will be studying. And we will also be discussing some of the aspects of wired communication. We will be discussing the different types of networks. Okay, types of network. We will be also discussing the types of network topologies. Okay, so we will also be discussing about the OSI model or the open system interconnection model. We will be also discussing about TCP/IP. These are the things we will be discussing about the wired media, wired communication. These are the things we will be discussing. Okay. So the next thing that we will be discussing is the two basic modes of communication. And no, mind it, the two basic modes of communication here, when we are discussing here, I basically mean the wireless media here. So everything will be with respect to wireless media here. So there are two basic modes of communication.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
So can you please scroll up, sir?
sure. Which one you want to note? This
Yeah,
one?
that's it. Yeah, please.
You could just take a snapshot of it. I'll be sharing this handout after the class also. Okay.
All right, so then we can proceed.
So there are two basic modes of communication. Okay. The first one is your broadcasting. Broadcasting, BROADCASTING. And the second is your point to point. Okay. So when we are discussing about your communication, basic modes of communication, there are two ways we could communicate. One is broadcasting. Suppose you climb on a stage, you picked up a microphone and you started speaking. Who will listen to you? Can you tell me? You climbed on a stage, you picked up a microphone and you started speaking. So who will listen to you?
Audience.
Everyone.
Yes, to each and everyone to whom your voice reaches. Okay, so do you think there will be any security in that kind of communication? You want some people to listen to you, some people not to listen. Is that possible in broadcasting?
No.
No, sir.
So I hope you have understood what is broadcasting. Okay, so let me write the definition here. So broadcasting, okay, which involves the use of a single powerful transmitter and numerous receivers. Okay, and numerous receivers. Okay, when you are in a crowd, you are the speaker. Suppose you have climbed on the stage and you are speaking on the microphone, you are the transmitter, and the crowd that is listening are the receivers. So numerous receivers that are relatively less expensive to build Okay, so here information bearing signals flow only in one direction. Let me write that also. Here information bearing signals flow only in one direction. In one direction. Okay. So broadcasting, which involves the use of a single powerful transmitter. The best example of this broadcasting kind of communication is your FM or AM radio broadcasting. You are listening to FM channels. So there, the radio station that broadcasts the information broadcasts it through a single powerful transmitter. Okay, and we receive it using numerous receivers that are relatively less expensive to build. So if you are building a FM radio station, obviously you will need lakhs of rupees, isn't it? So it will be quite expensive. It will be quite complex also to build it. However, the radio receivers that we use, how much they cost? You could also always find a radio receiver at around 40-50 rupees. Okay, that will be capable of receiving your FM signal. Or you could just build one yourself by using some transistors and some discrete components. Okay, to receive mostly the AM signal, you could build it. For FM, obviously you will need a little bit more complex circuitry. However, if you buy one, obviously the cost will be really less. So that's why we have written here that we use a single powerful transmitter and numerous receivers, okay, that are relatively less expensive to build. And the most important thing here is here the information bearing signals, they flow only in one direction, and that direction is from the transmitter to the receiver. If this is the radio broadcasting station, okay, then it is transmitting the signal and your radio receiver is receiving. Okay, let's say this is your radio receiver is receiving it only. If your radio receiver wants to send back some signals, okay, this way, that is not possible. Can your radio receiver send back some signal to the transmitter? Obviously not. So in broadcasting, the flow of information is only one way. Okay, the other name for this one way communication is also your is your simplex. Remember this term, simplex communication. So simplex means one way communication. Okay, and this broadcasting is a one way communication. And as you could see that the security in this kind of communication is low. However, if you add encryption, if you use digital modulations and you use encryption, you could provide security. Okay, we will be understanding what is encryption and decryption later in a different class. The next is your point to point communication. Point to point communication. Okay, so your point to point communication is one in which the communication process takes place over a link between a single transmitter and receiver. Let me write about it. So your point to point communication in which the communication process takes place over a link between a single transmitter and a receiver. RX is the short for receiver. Okay, next point is there is usually bidirectional flow of information. Bidirectional flow of information. Okay, so in point-to-point communication, in which the communication process takes place over a link between the transmitter and a receiver. So the best example is your telephone. Okay, your wired telephony. So you have a telephone set here. Okay, and you are connected through wires to, let's say, some other telephone. Okay, so the information is transmitted both ways in it. You can transmit as well as you can receive. Okay, so that's why there is bidirectional flow of information. However, you would find there are two different scenarios that will happen when you will be doing this bidirectional communication. One is, if you are let's say using two telephone receivers and you are communicating, the information can flow at the same time. That means you could transmit as well as receive information at the same time. However, if you are, let's say, using a walkie-talkie, okay, you have a walkie-talkie. So you would find that in walkie-talkies, you cannot transmit and receive at the same time. That means you cannot speak and listen at the same time. There is a button that is called your PTT, which is push to talk. So once you push that, you can send. At the all other instances, the walkie-talkie is only in a receive mode. Okay, so there the transmission and the receiver both can happen. Okay, but they should happen at different time. So transmission at one time and then reception at some other time. So these two scenarios are possible in point-to-point communication. So if you are able to transmit the information, transmit as well as receive the information at the same time, this will be called a full duplex system, and it will be called a half duplex system if you can either transmit or receive at an instance. Okay, although you have both the capabilities. Got it? Or any doubts? So these are the two different modes of communication. Okay, then the next thing that we will be discussing is the signals and the signal space. We will be studying what is a signal and what is a system, and then we will be studying the size of a signal. Okay, how can we measure the size of a signal, that we will be understanding. Okay, next section is signals and your signal space. Okay, so first is your signals. Okay, so a signal, as the term implies, is a set of information or data. Okay, you could note it down also. So a signal, as the term implies, is a set of information TION, or data. Okay, the example is of a signal is your telephone or your television signal. Okay, so a signal is basically, like as the term implies, is a set of information or data. So mostly these signals are processed through certain hardware. They are called your systems. So let me write what is a system here. So system. Okay, so signals may be processed, PROCESSED, processed further by systems. Okay, so what the systems will do? So they may, which may modify modify them, or extract additional information from them, or extract additional information from them. Okay. So signals may be processed further by systems which may modify them or extract additional information from them. Okay. Let me give you an example. You will understand it better. Okay. So I think you must have read something related to electronics, basic electronics or analog electronics. Have you read? Any answers?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir, dono.
Have you read amplifiers there? Something called amplifier.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You must have seen a circuit like this. Let me just draw this circuit. I think you must have seen this kind of circuit. Yes, have you seen a circuit like this? What is it? Can you tell me? Yes, what is this circuit?
RC coupled amplifier.
Yes, what is its job?
They're used to
See,
increase the power.
yes, the strength of a signal, right? So let's say this is the signal that we give as input to this. Okay, so what we will get as output? So let's say this is the amplitude of our original signal. This was the amplitude of our original signal. So the signal that we will be getting will be something like this. Okay, the strength of the signal is increased. So who increased the strength of this signal? Obviously this circuit was responsible for it. Okay, so this circuit is known by the name amplifier, and it is nothing but a system whose job is to increase the strength of a signal. Which signal? That was fed to it here. Okay, so you need signal. So signals will be representing your information. Okay, and then you need the systems which can process that signal. Processing means obviously the increasing the maybe increasing the strength of the signal, or maybe extracting some useful information from it. Okay, another example, let me just give you. All of you must have seen a normal sound system. Okay, a normal sound system or a home theater system that you have in your house. You would find there will be basically three types of devices. Okay, you would find there is a subwoofer. Okay, then you could find there are tweeters. Okay, tweeters, and then you could find there are speakers, loudspeakers. Okay, so what is their job? Do you understand? If you listen to a music, you will find that whenever there is a bass component, you will find that the subwoofer will be working. At that time, the subwoofer will be working. Okay, when there is a song or a voice is being uh, played, at that time you will find that the loudspeakers will be working. Similarly, when you will be finding some high frequency signals, when you will be finding some high frequency signals like guitars being played, all those things, you will find that tweeters will be working. Okay, so while you are listening to a song, you will find that there are these different frequency components. Okay, if you go through their frequency, you will find that the things that are played by the subwoofer are the low frequency signals. Similarly, in the speakers, you will find mid frequency. Okay, and in the tweeters, there are high frequency components that are played. Okay, because they have that information in them. Okay, so there is a device that we use to separate these signals from the normal song or the music that is being played, there is a device that is used to filter out these things and feed them specially to those devices that can play them well. So those devices are called your filters. So I think you must be understanding what is their job. Their job is to extract certain information and exclusively feed them to specific devices. Okay, so this is how the systems can also extract information. Okay, additional information. So these are the things that we will be